Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And we're here to talk about the Champions League. Hopefully not one of the last few times I'm going to be saying that, troops, but it's all going to be determined in the next 7 days as we face the Ukraine side, Dynamo Kyiv, and the way we're playing and the way they're playing. It's going to be interesting. And we're going to try and capture that today and give it to you in terms of a video, so everyone leaves today's video knowing a little bit more about the opposition and hopefully having a little bit more hope in terms of the actual result, because again, I can't bury my head in the sand, pretend that everyone's excited, everyone's expecting us to win, everyone's expecting us to perform well. In fact, I've never seen a season like this without the blind optimism that we usually have and the excitement for this. I've never seen it so drained and so meek in a very, very long time, but again, you reap what you sow. Gerrard said it many years ago when it went ahead and won the league. Go and fix the roof before it starts raining. Well, it's flooding right now. I mean, never done much about it, but it can all change like that. Sometimes you just need a result, and we'll speak about that as this could be the result, or it could be continued downpour in terms of that rain metaphor that I've probably ran into the ground by now, but it feels proper. Let's actually go ahead and get into the old Champions League qualifying preview then, shall we? And I'm going to start off with the opposition as always by having a look, and a proper look at Dynamo Kyiv. And we had a brief little look at them when the draw in the previous round was done, because we knew we could either face Dynamo Kyiv or Partizan Belgrade. Two tough sides, I'd say, at that paper, and what I would consider balanced teams, and teams that should have really gave each other. In fact, I sat here, looked you in the eyes and said, I know Dynamo Kyiv is the favourite to come ahead and play us in the game, but I wouldn't overlook Partizan Belgrade because they've got the advantage of having played games. Their domestic season had started, they had more minutes in the leg. Dynamo Kyiv hadn't played a real professional game, if you will, this season, besides obviously pre-season. I'm talking about proper games, domestic games. Belgrade had the advantage, and what that resulted to, ladies and gentlemen, is a 9-2 scudding on aggregate. That's the danger of the squad we're playing now. The squad that was maybe at a disadvantage absolutely spat on Partizan Belgrade, beating them 6-2 in the home game where we go tomorrow, where we went the last game that they played at their stadium in a Champions League qualifier. They won 6-2 with 6 different goal scorers. And if that doesn't go ahead and sober you up or make you feel like you've just stood in a plug with your bare feet, what will, troops, is if you actually look over the two legs, those 9 goals that we spoke about, there was 8 different goal scorers in their team over 2 legs. That's the threat that they've got from various positions and various players. And I don't know if I'm being over dramatic right now, or I'm maybe believing in negativity that's actually out there, but when I look at the Rangers team, I didn't see 8 different goal scorers today as over a month, never mind over a space of 2 freaking games. And that's something I feel like we really need to look at when we're talking about the Dynamo Kyiv side properly, and when we're giving them respect. I know people saying, oh, there's this, and trying to talk them doing that. There shouldn't be anyway, because after watching this team and how they went about their business and the patterns they play, the fast little quick passes they've got, the amount of times that they gain create chances for other people. It's not just one way. They can't sit down and defend and block out A, because B will hurt you. And if you block out A and B, C's there and then D. And it's shown that over the last round of an actual game. It's the way I want a Rangers team to actually play, and it's infuriating as a Rangers fan to watch that and have to preview that and talk about that's the way they go about their business, because they've got goals littered everywhere in their squad, not even just in their starting 11, but their bench is littered with goals, as well as their goals came off the bench over the last 2 legs as well. So they can hurt you in multiple ways, both in the 11 and in the 18, with fast, free-flowing attacking football. As a Rangers fan, does that not make you sick? Because that's what we want to actually see. Well, we will see it, but unfortunately it's for the opposition, the Mora. But we do have something in common, and that's sort of how we line up in terms of an actual game, with the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, depending on how you actually look at it. But I would argue, despite what it might tell you on this website, or this website, if you actually watch and play, they've always got someone that's a little bit more advanced, and that's usually Sharapenko, who usually is just sitting there pulling the actual strings. He's the next guy that's going to go for a hell of a lot of money from that squad, along with our number 9 we're going to speak about in the middle. But aye, all the talk about number 10, should we get rid of the position? Do we need the number 10? Number 10 this, number 10 this. We'll watch the number 10 tomorrow, and you'll probably see what we're trying to strive to get in to this football club, as he is probably the biggest name in terms of up and coming names in that squad. with their number 9 Van Aert, who we're going to speak about, who's scoring goals. He's a young lad, he's only 22 years old, he's got a goal and an assist so far to his game, and he is an absolute danger. But where I feel like they're obvious to actual mention, you know, I mean, that's surface level stuff. I think if you even look at their other side, right, not even Yarmolenko, who's a big name that played at West Ham, he's got a lot of big goals in his career. Everyone knows Yarmolenko, and he is getting obviously a wee bit older now, but again, he's only lasting 65-70 minutes in their overall games over the last 6 months. I'd say gone into last season, and obviously the way it started this season. But what you get him is 60 minutes of strength and ability, and him versus Ridvan does give me a wee bit of the fear. But again, I'm talking about the big names here. Let's talk about somebody else you've probably never heard of. And that's the winger on the other side, Kabayev. Now, apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. I usually am, as it's actually me. But if you look at this guy, right, he's not really got great stats. He's almost the Ryan Kent in that aspect. You look at him, you overlook him and say, oh, we've got nothing to worry about there. He very rarely scores. He very rarely assists overall in terms of his career and his Dynamo career. But if you actually watch how Dynamo play and what he does with the fit boy, he's an absolute menace to fullbacks that constantly take his men on, that can put crosses into the mix, and he's someone that's completely overloaded. He would probably stand out in our Rangers squad with a new painful game that I like to call would do our wingers start for. Well, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, for Dynamo Kyiv, no matter which one it is you go ahead and look at, I'd argue no. Cherny, when he's up to speed, fair enough, he can go ahead and probably get in one of those positions, probably at the right with Yarmolenko getting a wee bit older, but on the left hand side, nah, troops, and that's probably the worst player in the Dynamo Kyiv squad. But he's an absolute menace, and him versus Tavernier 24 hours before the game is something I can't get out my memory, and he's no the lethal finisher, he is no this, but he is very quick, very good at taking on his man, and very good at putting balls into the mixer to the likes of Yarmolenko and Van Aert up in terms of that number 9 actual position. And for me, I feel like I should mention that, because they were talking about a couple of names, we're firing a couple of names at you, but that's what this squad actually is. It's littered with danger for everywhere, and again, that's just a couple. They've got plenty more on the bench at say, but we come out, and the other two midfielders are no bad as well, including their captain, who's got a wee bit more about him, probably due a yellow card in the actual game. But still, for me, ladies and gentlemen, this is really going to be an interesting battle on how we perform, how we set up, and what we think we can do against a squad I'd argue plays maybe similar the way that I think Clermont wants to play. You look at the press with the front three, you look at the quickness they've got in the wing position, you look at the way they play and the interchanging and the number 10 and leading that. That's probably what Clermont wants for his squad. They're just much better at it than us so far, and much further down that actual project. So it'll be very interesting to see how Clermont goes to try and almost beat himself and beat what he wants to be gone into the squad, because you'd argue on paper Tavernier would be a major weakness coming in to this game. The two centre-halves that have been absolutely roasted so far and should have conceded a couple goals if it wasn't for Butland and some poor finishing from Hearts against this squad that's rip-raring and scoring goals is obviously a fear. But again, once we get to the Rangers video, there's resolutions to that fear if we do what we need to do. And Dynamo's going to do what they do. You know, there's no playing for favourites that. They play who is raring to go. And they're a very good side, ladies and gentlemen. And I said it in my last video and I got scoffed at saying that's the toughest test that we could possibly get coming in terms of a Champions League qualifying game. This is it, and I still stand by that now. People say, oh, well, if you can't beat Dynamo Kyiv, you shouldn't be in the Champions League. Aye, absolutely. Could you argue we deserve to be in the Champions League? Is there enough quality in there? Probably no. But this block that's in front of us, this stumbling block that we need to get by, is probably as tough as it's get. Now that the next round of fixtures with Salzburg or FC 28, aka Lammers FC, Danny, you know what I mean, just Danny. But I didn't want to get lost in speaking about all that, because how badly we are playing. And again, for me, we have our toughest test, and the toughest roadblock we have to the Champions League is kicking off in 24 hours. Their strengths are our weaknesses, and our weaknesses are their strengths. And I didn't want to be saying that, ladies and gentlemen, but that's the true tale of the tape. They're a very good side, and we're going to need to be drastically better if we to keep this alive going into next week. That right there actually gives me the perfect transition away from the Dynamo side and over to the Rangers side, as I want to really break down and I want to discuss so many things in terms of our football club. And I think, again, talking on the back of the optimism or the lack of optimism, maybe the negativity that's around the place, it's probably warranted given what we saw at Hearts and maybe what we didn't see, and that is wholesome changes over the actual summer. We were promised a rebuild, we were promised this, we were promised that, and it was more of the same stuff. Because on paper we have signed 8 players in total, and that's tremendous. That's a rebuild. That's something you can get lost to in the end terms. A clickbait, when you actually start to chip away at that 8, what really have we done to drastically improve our starting 11? 2 of the 8 were here last season on loan, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of Diamande, who is a really good player, I can't lie about that, and Cortez, who looks a good player, but now he's injured. Spoiler alert for the injured part of today's video. That's a blow. 1 of the 8 is also a backup goalkeeper who's not improving the starting 11. And then we've got a young laddie who's still doing 1v1 training right now because Clement doesn't feel he's ready yet to tackle the weight and pressure of playing for Rangers. This is starting to get a little bit scary, especially when you think the next one or another one of them is Hefty as well, who isn't an upgrade on Ridvan Yilmaz. We talked about that last January. He's a young laddie with high potential and he could potentially be son, but as we saw for pre-season, he is so used to going forward. There's no a lot actually coming back. Connor Barron, yes, he jumps right in to the starting 11. He's replaced what has actually went out. But then you look at the other 2 lads that we're actually here to talk about the new. You're talking about Proper and Cherny, and we didn't see them for the first game of the season because they weren't ready. It's truly incredible and absolutely infuriating to me as a Rangers fan to watch us go into every single season behind the schedule of every other team. You might be saying, oh, you're being dramatic here, but we're no. Look at the summer rebuild. Look at the signings. Look at where we actually are. The season has started. We've already lost valuable points that could have been possibly picked up at that game versus Hearts. That's gone. And now you're sitting here talking about a Champions League money that could change this football club, being able to bring in real talent and bring in like £60 million to this club. That could be wiped off the table right now in the first week of August. Why? Because we can't get a team to be ready to play by the time the domestic season starts in August. We know when it starts. It doesn't surprise us. Why are we always behind everyone else? That's the infuriating part for me. That's the self-inflicted crap for me. We know where our strengths are, we know where our weaknesses are, and we didn't ever do anything until it's too late. When you take a step back at it and you take your bias out, you've got to call it for what it is, and it's amateur stuff that we're actually doing. And I hate that I need to say that about my football team, ladies and gentlemen. Our football team that we all love. I'm sure I've annoyed some people that's currently tuning in, but again, I love the club. That's what matters to me. It's not an individual in the building. It's not one of the players. I'm not one of these guys that jumps from player or club to club depending on what players are actually there. No, Rangers is what I love, and for me, it's been completely mishandled constantly year after year after year, and we go into every season despite throwing money out, travelling here, there and everywhere, buying 55 kits a frickin' season. We're doing our jobs as fans, but we're just no getting it back. And again, 1 week into a season, I'm having to read pure negativity and toxicity constantly with people's optimism shattered to the ground. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be up here, you're supposed to be having fun. It's the start of the new season, but everyone is completely stamped down because they've had enough and can see something and changes need to be actually being made. And look, I'm not sitting here saying that these guys at the board level didn't care. I'm sure they're giving absolutely everything, and I'm sure they're trying their arse off. I know some of them are Rangers men and all that as well. I get all that. I haven't got no doubts that they're trying. But you know, you can try and just no be good enough. And for me, there's no good enough people in the right positions at this football club to take us actually forward. Because to me, it feels like we're just constantly, slowly but surely gone backwards. And if you've watched the videos over this summer and over the last week or two, when we've been looking at the defensive regression, we've been looking at how bad we are now attacking wise compared to previous seasons, the midfield mauling that we have every single Old Firm because we can't be what we were 5-6 years ago, what Gerrard put in place. It's clear we've gone back when we as a club should be going forward. And again, the old expression, rolling with the punches is something I feel like we need to get used to this season, especially the way that the board so publicly came out and spoke about Clement, not only in John Bennett's interview, but the way they came out and gave him a contract extension. That's letting all of us know, ladies and gentlemen, win, lose or draw, Clement is here. And I do actually like that solidifying of that and quieting all the rumours and quieting any the narratives. There will be no November change. There won't be sacked before Christmas. They've made it clear no matter what, he is our guy, and maybe they are preparing us all for those punches again. They're telling us to put our old arms up by doing that so publicly, because it can go completely wrong. But again, that's just how I feel about it in terms of negative and where we are as a club and what's gone wrong and where we need to be. It is a little bit of a mess, ladies and gentlemen. And again, for me, we shouldn't be gone into this game having already dropped points at the weekend. Potentially a complete underdog against Dynamo Kyiv and a Champions League qualifier that could see us get knocked out of the Champions League at the first time of asking, despite what we've been able to achieve in Europe previously when we've had a squad actually available. You know what I mean? We are 24 hours away from playing a Dynamo Kyiv squad that can't stop scoring troops before trying to battle them, trying to fight against our current form and our current players that are dragging this team backwards to get us to where we are next week, to take them back to no Ibrox but Hampden. Do you know what I mean? Do you see how it's just a complete mess on and off the park? But that is where we are. But again, I'm glad that Clement's here in terms of a foundation, and that's been done, because all I can hope is we can start to build from that foundation. And look, it's not all doom and gloom. I know we've talked a lot about it, but we need to actually, we can't bury our head in the sand and pretend we've still not got a CEO that knows what they're doing. Again, we've not got people in the right positions driving. We can't pretend that isn't happening. But football is such a funny old game, and it can change like that. Your fortunes could change by that, and you could go on a great run. We've seen it last season with Clement before. Unfortunately, this switch went in and we actually folded like a deck chair. But that's no surprise. We know we've not got players good enough to go ahead and deliver what we need today. It's been clear, it's been shown for year upon year. That's why the rebuild was so important. That's why now, with the rebuild that we've been given, we're all like, what the hell is actually going on? But it can change like you just need one result to spark an entire team who's maybe on the knees already 1 week into a season and get them feeling good about themselves. And I'll tell you something right now, the more it looks like the perfect opportunity for these players to go out there and do it, because yes, everyone's saying this, and yes, it doesn't look good on paper. The game's not played on paper. You need to go out in the park and actually earn it. And if we can get a good result in Mora and take it back to Hampden to go ahead and get an opportunity to play again, qualify for the next round, that there could be the spark that gets his team playing well enough, and Clement can start to do what he wants to do as he bleeds in all the players coming back for injury, that he's no loss for injury, and all the new signings. But we need a spark, ladies and gentlemen, and it could happen tomorrow. It's no impossible, maybe unlikely given the way we're playing, but it's no impossible, and I hope the manager and the players feel that way. And we'll guess we'll be able to tell that with the first 5 minutes of this game on our approach in the way that we play. And I feel like with that being said, I've addressed a lot of the questions that I got asked from the Hearts fan and I've received online on social media and all that. I think I've addressed a lot of even the conversation points you have had down in the comment section below, which I've enjoyed actually reading as well, seeing two sides of conversations of where we need to be, how do we improve it, you know what I mean? All the arguing and the Celtics fans and the Hearts fans having a laugh at us, that's one thing, right? That's always going to be there, but it's been the actual conversation about what's wrong with this club and where we need to be has been very interesting for me to read, and I feel like I've had my say on that now. Again, football is such a funny game. Go ahead and deliver the Mora boys. Show a wee bit more European magic. Give us something, and give us something to get behind as a fan base, because we're dying to cheer. We're dying to get behind you. But again, we've been let down too many times, and it's all the same suspects that are continually flung in front of us. There's a divide between the fans and the club, but we need a spark to get it back all into tune. And it might just happen tomorrow if we can go ahead and get a positive result. And that's what I'll cross every little thing I have to go ahead and achieve that. Now, to give you a wee bit of team news, Tierney and both Proper is included into this the European squad registration, so both can play tomorrow. So anyone worrying about that, that's off your mind, and that is something you can relax about. They can play. Now, will they? I don't know. Can Clement stop being so cautious? Because again, every other club bleeds in their players. Balogun done it the 2 days before he signed. 2 days before the Aberdeen game, he signed and went ahead and played and was man of the match in the game he fit on. A game he won 1-0 and kept a clean sheet. It can work, especially defenders. Tierney, if he is far away, fair enough. If he's been sitting on a beach enjoying himself after the Euros, not putting too much in. But Proper's been training. Proper's ready, and a centre back's a different position. We need Proper in the starting 11 tomorrow. If we go in with Suter and Davies, I don't know what to bloody expect, because again, they are fast, they are movement based, and they're a team that's built to run at two centre halves, and I don't know what name to be, whether it's Balogun getting an opportunity instead of Proper, alright, at least I'll take that. But if we go on with Davies and Suterman, I don't know what we're expecting, but it will be nice. There's good players there. Just play them and see what goes on. That's all I can hope. But speaking of good players, Cortez has obviously got a serious injury now. It looked bad at Hearts. He then came out the second half. I don't know why he was cleared to come out in the second half and make the problem significantly worse. Again, amateur stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, we've lost Cortez as well, so that opens the door for Rabi Matondo. He's shown bright spots in Europe, and I know everyone says what they say, and for me, he either scores a screamer or he's Bambi on ice. He had a laugh about that on social media as well. But he's got son, at least, and genuine pacing for a team like Dynamo Kyiv that's going to be pushing everybody forward. It's no Kilmarnock or Motherwell or anything like that that's going to be parking the bus where there's no room for Rabi to gallop. There's genuine pace and opportunity to get in behind, so it might just be the game that Rabi explodes again at European level. The same what he done in PSV in one of the games, what he was shown in the early stages of the European stage before he ended up getting injured. And down the right hand side, that's why I want Cherny to play. But again, I can see it being scored right because they'll look at it with him being quick as well. But there'll be gaps there, genuine gaps, because the pressure on Dynamo Kyiv and the expectation is to wrap this game up in 90 minutes. Throw that up in the dressing room, show them what the media is saying about the squad and go out and just attack them. The spaces are there. I could just hope the pace is actually proven. And again, I'll be interested to see how Danilo is handled, considering he wasn't given an option to play. Will he be given an option to play the day? Was he getting saved for the day? Or will he only get 20 minutes at the end of the game? Gaps there, Rangers. Please, just take them. And aye, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the rest of the squad remains the exact same. Roy Raskin and Raskin is out. Sterling's been back training, so we'll wait to see if he's able to go. And the decision for Tav or Sterling will be there. Again, Tav scares me to death, Namora, against that wee lad. I know he's not got the greatest stats, but I'll be looking a lot at him. Troops, he's the exact thing that terrorises Tavernier. Quick, gets down, fake shot, gets down, puts in crosses. I didn't like that at all. I would love Sterling to be given an opportunity in there, but that's a big call to drop your captain ahead of Champions League qualifier. It'll be big, but it's Clement big enough to do it? We'll find out, ladies and gentlemen, if Sterling can go. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The old prediction to finish up with. Again, I can obviously see as probably on paper we will narrowly lose this game. That's what everyone's expecting. But, you know, I never write out Rangers, you know what I mean? That's probably my bias talking, but I love this team, and them in Europe just seems to get the best of them. So I'm going to try and manifest a good result here and go with a score draw, because if there's one thing I know for certain, there's going to be goals in this game, and I just hope we can keep it tight enough and take our chances when it does come the other way, because there will be chances handed to us because of the way they bomb actually forward. We could get a couple goals and more, and that could be absolute gold dust when we take it back to Hampden next week. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm predicting a good... Come on, man. Let's just give us something, Rangers. You know what I mean? Play like you actually want to play for the actual badge. That would be very nice, and that's what I'll go with. A wee score draw, either a 1-1 or a 2-2. And I think Rabi might score in this game. It's just the type of game that he scores and everyone does their jokes back and forth and everything like that. Or again, it might be down the other side with Cherny, because that's where the space is, with their fullbacks bombing for it getting forward. Wings are vital, as always, which is ironic, because last year Beale tried to get rid of our wingers. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's my thoughts and opinions ahead of the game. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow after the game. All the best, and bye.